Yo, what's happening, Houdat Nation? Welcome to another live edition of Saints Now by Chat Sports. As always, I'm your host, Trizzy Trace Girouard. Welcome to Saints Now. Thank you so much for tuning in. We're live here on YouTube. Hope you guys are excited for a lot of good content. I'm going to be live with my guy, Nick Lopez, for the next hour or so. We're going to go through quite a bit of draft coverage, news, rumors, and everything in between. The Athletics, good God. Dane Brugler's The Beast, it dropped, so we're going to go through what that had to say about quarterbacks. We got a lot of good stuff to talk about, and it's going to be a lot of fun. So we're going to start off today's show by naming a random Saints player while I fire off this tweet. Lopez is going to give some shout-outs to those of you who name random Saints players. You can't say Drew Brees. It's not a random name. That's just simply not a random name. What you looking for? You might not have a microphone back here. Looks like if you message Sam, he might be able to bring you one. I would just message Sam. So we're going to give shout-outs here on everyone who shouts out a random Saints player. I see Tracy Porter, Will Smith, Nick Toon. Give me some more random ones. Ken Stabler. That's a good one. Sorry, 1 second, guys. Let me know. Let me know a random one. Joe Johnson, Pierre Thomas, Teron Armstead. Congratulations on the retirement to Teron Armstead. We also have Ian Book, Morton Anderson. I see Mike McKenzie. We say Jeremy Shockey, Will Sneed, Pat Swilling, Michael Thomas, Garrett Hartley, Charles Grant. No, Nintendo Master. I replied to your question in the comment section after the 46 times you commented on yesterday's video. I answered it, so if you didn't see it, go look at my reply. I'm not going to answer the question again, though, because I already answered. So, no, I'm not ducking questions. I'm just not going to repeat myself on questions where it's in writing, and you can look at it anytime you want. Zach Bond from Ear Comment, Deuce McAllister from No One J King, Darren Sproles, Mike Bell, Reggie Bush. Mike says I didn't comment. Okay, it was a tweet then. It was a tweet. Because I replied. It was a tweet. Mike Nintendo Master. Either way, you tweeted and you asked me, and I answered your question, brother. And it's kind of it's a question I don't have to answer. Right? Like I'm not gonna. Would I admit to say? Would I let a Falcons fan run the channel? It's a stupid question. No, that's not how that works. And plus, I don't get to decide who runs the channel. If I quit, if I leave, the bosses decide. Doesn't really matter what I want. Aaron Brooks from Andre. I see Kevin Austin Jr. from Mere Comment. Michael Lewis from Jerry G. Mike Bell. Craig. Eldon. Courtney. She says Brian Brzee minus the E. That's funny. I see Clarence from Joshua. I see Archie Manning. I see Devery Henderson. Madden Legend, Mike Bell, Sam Mills, Joe Horn, Dalton Hilliard, Reggie Bush, Deuce McAllister, Ricky Williams, Cam Jordan, This Quiet Storm, Marcus Colston. Those are all good ones. Robert Meacham, that's a good one. Shedeur Soon from US Champ. Nintendo Master says, answer my question that you would love to answer if you could take one player from the Buccaneers history and make them a Saint. Who would it be? Tom Brady. Darren Sharper from Jeremy. Sam. Dude, Mike, what's your obsession with finding out other stuff about the NFC South, bro? It's kind of weird as a Saints fan, man. Kind of weird. Sonia says, Houdat, I love to watch your channel. I appreciate you. Saints Prod says, stop it. Or it says, stop it, Saints Prods from Jerry G. I don't know what he's doing. Traquan Smith. Some of my questions are not coming through right. I'm having to speak in the mic on my... Okay, Mike. Best of luck to you, brother. Heath Evans, all that good stuff. All righty. We got a lot of random Saints players mentioned, we're going to take a quick second to tell y'all about today's presenting sponsor of our live show, and that is going to be the Game Time app, the best ticketing app in the whole wide world. And I know that the Pelicans season hasn't been all that great. It's been pretty doom and gloom, but hey, at least we're at the Mavericks. At least they didn't trade away Luka Doncic, which is kind of hilarious because tonight Luka is going to be in Dallas at the AAC, but it's not going to be in a Mavericks uniform. And you could get tickets to tonight's game in Dallas. You could get tickets to a game in New Orleans at the Smoothie King Arena, at the Blender, if you will, or you can get tickets to any live event, concerts, comedy shows in your area with the Game Time app. And watching sports with friends is always a blast, but nothing matches the hype of actually being in attendance. So don't miss out on any big moments across sports or concerts, comedy shows, live events, and other live options like the game or with the Game Time app. Download Game Time today. Use code CHATSPORTS to get $20 off your first purchase. Game Time has last-minute tickets for the lowest price guaranteed. You can save up to 60% off buying last-minute tickets for all sorts of live events in your area. You can even check out Game Time Picks, which is a feature that filters out the fluff to show you only great deals on seats you're actually interested in. And if a deal is so great, it will be listed as a super deal, which these tickets are the best value for live events in your area. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets and download the Game Time app today. Use code CHATSPORTS for $20 off your first purchase. Terms do apply, but once again, create an account and redeem code CHATSPORTS for $20 off your first purchase. Jazz Fest is right around the corner. There's all sorts of great live events in Louisiana, whether you want to go to a Saints game, whether you want to check out the #1 Arkansas Razorbacks taking on the LSU Tigers in college baseball. You can do anything with the Game Time app. So you download the app, use code CHATSPORTS, $20 off. Terms apply. Link is in the comments and description of this video. Shout out to Game Time for sponsoring. Hope you guys are excited for some live events, and make sure you download the Game Time app today. Last minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed. Now, let's have a conversation. I want you to let me know who you want to draft in round 2, not in round 1. Who do you want to draft in round 2? Because there's a lot of conversations, a lot of discourse about like how, you know, we should go Shedeur. We should go Ashton Jeanty. We should go Tet. We should go Tyler Warren. We should go Will Johnson, John A. Barron. There's all sorts of conversations in round 1. But what about round 2? What do you guys think? Marion Hampton or Travion Henderson? I just don't know if a Marion Hampton fall. I don't think a Marion Hampton's going to fall to round 2, to be honest. He feels like a 27th overall pick, like somewhere in the high 20s. It feels like a lock. Sooner than that. You think so?
I think there's a chance.
I mean, with the running back position, we've seen an increase in value there, and seen teams do value that position more than they did a couple years ago. Cam Scadaboo, if we can't get Tyler Warren, we need either one of them from Queen Courtney. Mason Taylor in round 1 from Tada Mullen. I see Milroe in round 2. Luther Burden. I'll take Quinshaw Judkins, is I believe who you're talking about. Jaden Higgins, the wide receiver out of Iowa State. Big fan of his game. Cam Scadaboo from DJ Breeze. Who do you want to take in round 2?
In round 2, I would love a Mason Taylor.
Mm-hmm.
We've talked about this before.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if he's going to be at 40 though.
Yeah, it might be hard to see him fall all the way to 40. I would love a Jaden Higgins for a different name. Also Trey Amos. I really, really like Trey Amos, the cornerback out of Ole Miss. I like him as a second-round pick. Saints have a need at corner. And if you want to go with a guy that isn't any of the ones we've listed so far, trying to think of my favorite mock drafts who I've taken in round 2. I mean, Trey Harris is one that I always like taking in round 2.
What happened to him? Like, I remember.
I don't know. It feels like his draft hype is like going.
Haven't heard his name.
I know.
Whatsoever.
It's like it was always, you know, you want your big body guy in round 2. You go get Jaden Higgins or Trey Harris, and now you're like okay, it's just Jaden Higgins. It's weird. I think Trey Harris is also an exceptional football player.
He had a hell of a year.
He had a great year. Yeah. So we'll have to see what happens. Armand Membu, he will not be available in round 2. I can tell you that right now. Denzel Burke, Higgins or Scadaboo. Okay, those are, definitely feels like round 2, big body wide receiver feels like the popular pick. Feels like that's what the consensus, what people want to do in round 2.
I don't hate it.
No, I don't either. I actually really like it. And honestly, as long as the Saints nail the draft, I'm okay with it. And we could go with it where you go get a wide receiver round 1 and quarterback in round 3 or something, or, you go no quarterback at all, or you go heavy. Honestly, as long as you make picks of players that have proven production, I'm okay. Like, I don't really want a bunch of projects. I don't want a bunch of potential. I don't want to draft a bunch of, like, Shamar Stewarts. I don't want that.
So you're out on Jalen Milroe is what you're saying?
I mean, Jalen Milroe in on round 3 would be okay with me. But I know you would have to take him at 40. Let me put it this way: if you take Milroe at 40, I'll swallow that pill and I'll get over it. But
who would take
I'll be
him
annoyed.
earlier than that? Like,
I don't know, but like
40,
I don't know. I have a hard time seeing Milroe. It's not being at 40, but I don't see him being there at 71 in the 3rd round. I don't think the Saints he'll fall to the 71st.
Who would take him? Like 1 to 71.
One of these guys will take one. One of these idiot teams will take him. I don't know. I personally don't want to. I'm not a big Jalen Milroe guy. I get he's a great athlete, but like
that only gets you so far in this league.
Yeah, I'm okay. I'm good. No thanks. Alrighty, we're gonna keep this thing rocking along. If you want the Saints to crush this draft, I need you to hit the thumbs up icon, like this video. We're gonna get started here in just a couple of minutes. When we get up to 40 likes, we can get this rock party started. How's that sound? We got to get to 40 likes. 20 more today. Trace, can you say one funny flack before we get this?
What's a flack?
What's a funny? Okay. He said, "Do not read." Okay. You guys are on one in the chat today. I don't know if it's me. Maybe I just don't look at the chat today because maybe I'm not understanding 90% of what I'm seeing in the chat. Between Mike Nintendo Master asking me whether I'd like to see a Buccaneers or a Falcons fan on the channel, and Jaden just saying don't read it. I might just not. I think we're just gonna ignore the live chat today. Goodness gracious, we got a lot of content for you. Make sure you guys hit the thumbs up icon. Of course, we're not actually gonna ignore the chat. That's kind of like the whole thing here is we're chat sports. So if we ignore it, then we're just sports, which is lame. Brandon Brown, who out there still believes in Mickey Loomis. I'm willing to see what he can do, or what I'm willing to see what Kellen Moore can do, and give it a couple of years. But like, this is it for me. This is my last straw here. Jerry says, "I guess Jade referring to." Okay, I'm not here to try to figure it out. Jade, let me know what you want me to do, man, and I'll see if I can make it happen. No promises though. Alrighty, if you guys have any questions, hashtag Saints, better yet, send in a super chat. We'll have a mailbag at the end of this video. As always, on our weekly live shows, we do like to get y'all's questions. We like to get y'all's hot takes, and I like to give my reaction to them. So make sure you guys get some good questions, some good hot takes in. So far, the chat has been strange, to say the least today. Let's see if the mailbag is strange today, because that has a very real possibility, unfortunately. Alrighty, we're going to dive into the content. We're going to start off first. What's the first piece? The top 30. Yeah, we have a bunch of top 30 visits that got leaked. So we're going to go through what those visits are, and we're going to give you a little bit of information on each one. So this is going to be a fun one. I hope you guys are excited for it. We're going to talk a lot of draft stuff here, so I hope you guys are ready. And yeah, we're going to talk some ball here. We're going to talk some ball. Jalen Walker, the edge rusher out of Georgia. I still really like him, man. I still really like him. Hint, we talk about Jalen Walker in this. Alrighty, are we at 40 likes yet? We're 2 away. We're 1 away.
Just like the video.
I'm told, check the mic. It sounds choppy. Looks like we're good on our end. Trey Harris is a big body player. Yep. Saints Prods is saying chicken jockey. I don't know why. I guess that's a meme or something. Okay, Isaiah said, now you good. Sounds good. I meant to say, now it says I have a choppy mic.
I'm messing with it right now.
Hold on. So we're messing with it. That's going to be your audio levels. Are we still having choppy, staticky audio? How are we sounding now? I'm hearing in the chat, which is weird because it sounded fine when we started and we didn't do anything. So I don't know how the audio somehow went from good to bad. Mic is very choppy. Lopez, how is that? I mean, I want you guys to know what I'm doing. When I say I'm trying something, I'm literally not doing anything. Does that fix it? Did that work? It says it's cracking. Yeah, Yeah, I don't. That's really cool that we have shitty audio the week before, a couple weeks before the draft. Gotta love that. I guess I'll unplug here. I don't know why this shit never works, man. All right, how's that? Any better? Did that fix it? Because if it did, I don't know how, because I don't know how to fix it. Did that fix it? Is it better? Hunter Bass says your mic is like Derek Carr. It works, but it's not great. Is that better? I mean, I need y'all to like not fuck with me. And I'm being dead serious. If I'm seeing people say that it's not working, I'm not in the mood today. We'll end the fucking stream. We're just gonna end the live show. I'm not in the mood to deal with it today. So, it's still choppy. Okay, because some people are saying it's fixed, some people are saying it's not. So either just give it to me straight. Is it or is it not working? That's all I'm trying to get to, man. I've had no sleep. I've driven more hours in the past 3 days than slept. So, your boy needs to fucking deal with it. What? That's not gonna. No, that's not. That's not gonna be. We're not doing that, Mike. We're not doing the producer mic for a live show. That's not happening. Isaiah, I can't just go with it because this is content that's going out throughout the weekend. What the fucking hell, man? Is it still choppy? How we sounding? Is anyone available to help with audio issues and see? We are live and chat and sweet. Sounds like the audio is still choppy. No, this is my only headset. Lovely. Yeah, I know. Don't stress about it. It's my fucking job, though, so I kind of have to be. Awesome. Apparently, we're having audio issues. I don't know if it's the audio's turned up. I don't know if what's going on, but we're trying to figure it out, guys. So just bear with us. We got a bunch of draft content coming your way once we get it figured out. I don't know what happened in the span of us talking about game time and the span of right now. It's the audio stopped working, so I'm not really sure what happened. I can't just roll with it. I know you guys want me just to deal with it. That's not how that works. This is a job. We're professionals. We're not going to put out a shitty product. So, I mean, they keep saying that the audio's choppy. I don't really know what they're saying. I can't hear it, obviously. Huh? I already did. Do I need to do it again? I mean, I can. I don't know what the deal is. What's the fucking problem? I mean, we're 2 weeks away from the draft, and all right, I'm gonna go silent for just a second. Bear with us. All righty, let's try that. See if it's working. It says get Lopez cam off screen from Brett. We're still working on the audio. Trying to get Lopez off screen. You can just push this across, man. Just push it across. I'm not trying to get. I don't know what happened, but somehow, some way, from the time of when I started the stream, the audio was perfect, to somehow right now, it sounds not like it's working. So I'm not totally sure. They're saying it's better now. Awesome. Cool. It's better. Let's go. Still working? Sounds good? All right. Chat saying's good. Tell me to chill, man. I'm chill as heck right now. All righty. Let's get this thing going. In case you didn't know, I don't know what happened. I'm not sure. We're going to get it going. Sorry if I feel like, if you guys don't think I'm chill right now. If you can't tell, I have severe bags under my eyes. I've driven and traveled more hours than I've slept in the last 3 days. So, been dealing with a lot of family stuff, been dealing with a lot of life stuff. So the show goes on and we're going to keep it chill as people ask us to do. So, we're going to start off here with the top 30 visits leaked. Lopez, let's run the intro screen here in a second and we can party and rock and roll. And yeah, let's get this thing going. Gonna get my timer up here. Take a quick sip of water. And without further ado, the Saints have leaked their top 30 draft visits. Let's go through the list. Yep. What's happening, Saints fans? Welcome into another edition of Saints Now by Chat Sports. As always, I'm your host, Trizzy Trace Girouard. Thank you so much for tuning in to today's video. The top 30 visits have been leaked. They haven't had all 30 top 30 visits. In case you didn't know, you can have 30 top 30 visits, but they haven't had all of them. So we're going to just go through all of the visits they've had thus far up to this point. On Wednesday, April 9th, as a part of our live show, we filmed this video, and we go live every single week, so I encourage you to subscribe to get more Saints content. And also, I encourage you to subscribe because we're chipping away to the road to 50K. The next milestone, 43,500 subs, and we just need 320 members of the Who Dat Nation to lock us in and subscribe for free Saints content every single day. My name is Trizzy Trace Girouard. Thank you guys so much for watching. Without further ado, let's break down the top 30 visits. Let's break it down, Saints fans. Hope you guys are excited to go through all of the names that have been linked to the Saints and have had top 30 visits with New Orleans. Before we dive into this, I think it's important to set some context here and kind of explain what a top 30 visit is. Because honestly, when I was going through this, I started confusing myself between what's a top 30 visit and what's a draft, like a combine visit, and what's a private workout. Like, well, what's the difference here? So a top 30 visit, teams can bring in up to 30 players for private workouts, or for private visits, I should say, for interviews, medical evals, and all of that good stuff. It's to kind of learn more about them, to go through some tests and to see how the medicals check out for a lot of these players, and to kind of get to know them on a human level and on an individual level, not as a player as much. But they cannot work out and they cannot do any sort of drills here. Whereas in a private workout, you can have a separate private workout from a top 30 visit. And these are on-field workouts where the skills and the athleticism of these players are assessed. So top 30 visit, no workouts. You learn medicals, you learn more about the players. Whereas private workouts, you get to see what they're capable of as football players. Now, the Saints, in case you didn't know, in the last handful of years, there isn't a large history of New Orleans acting on these top 30 visits. Since 2021, only 3 players have had top 30 visits that were either drafted or undrafted free agents, and we're going to go through those 3 players here right now. So the first one, or I should say in 2023, again, since 2021. I went back all the way to 2021 to the top 30 visits, and the most recent were in 2024 and 2023. Kendre Miller, he did have a top 30 visit with the New Orleans Saints, and he ended up becoming the 71st overall selection in the 3rd round of the 2023 NFL Draft. And obviously, there was a lot of discourse of, well, do you go Tajay Spears here? Do you do this? Do you do that? The Saints opted to go with Kendre Miller, and as we know, the tail of the tape has been he has been unavailable. So he was a top 30 visit, though, and the Saints did draft him. Now, in 2024, last year, Christian Boyd was a top 30 visit. He was selected at number 199. Enrico Payton, actually, interestingly enough, he was an undrafted free agent who also had a top 30 visit with the New Orleans Saints. So not a lot of history before 2023, but in the last 2 years, there's been a little bit more. So I'm not going to sit here and say that any of these guys that have a top 30 visit are a smokescreen. Like, I don't want that to be the takeaway here, but I will say this recent history shows that they don't get picked often. So when a player has a top 30 visit, I'm going to sit here and say, if you don't love the player, if you hate the player, whatever it is, don't freak out. It's okay. It's just a visit. I don't necessarily know if this is ultimately going to be anything that comes to fruition here. So we're just going to start things off with first batch of top 30 visits, starting off with these 4 players. Quinn Ewers, Tet McMillan, Savion Williams, and Isaac Tesla. I have to say right now, first things first, when it comes to the wide receivers, I love that all 3 of these guys fit the size profile of what the New Orleans Saints are missing. But before we dive into the wide receivers in detail, let's talk Quinn Ewers. I'm not going to sit here and say I love Quinn Ewers as a prospect. I don't hate Quinn Ewers as a prospect. I just want to see Quinn Ewers be a player that is in a good system. And I do think when Kellen Moore works with his quarterback, whoever it is, it has to be his guy. So if Quinn Ewers is Kellen Moore's guy, okay, that works with me. I'm going to support it, of course, because I'm a Saints fan. But I don't necessarily know if I will love it. I think that he has shown development. He's not a guy who's going to burn you with his legs, but he is somebody who has nice touch, who is a natural passer, and ultimately I think could be a player that is on the Saints' radar. They've had a lot of interest with him. They've taken him out to dinners. They were at his pro days. A lot of stuff between Quinn Ewers. So I think that there is at least some level of interest there. But let's talk about Tet McMillan, the number 1 wide receiver in this draft class, in my personal opinion. You see the size profile, 6'4", 220 pounds. He is a large frame, guy with a big playability, and I really, really like that from Tet McMillan. And to be honest, it doesn't matter if it's Tet. It doesn't matter if it's Savion Williams. It doesn't matter if it's Isaac Tesla. I don't really care who it is. It could be Jack Best, Jaden Higgins, Trey Harris. There's a plethora of options that would fit this mold. The Saints, they recognize that there is a need at wide receiver, and they recognize it's a specific need at wide receiver, not a guy who is a speedster. You have to bring somebody in who is physical, who has a large size profile, who can win over the middle, and we're going to show you the wide receiver measurables. You're not going to believe this. There is not a single player in the wide receiver group that is above 6'3". That's not good. You need more of that. The biggest wide receiver right now on the roster is Bub Means at 6'2", 215 pounds. I'm not going to sit here and say that's concerning, but I'm going to sit here and say that they have a need. And the Saints recognize that need. And I feel that they recognize that need based off the wide receivers that they brought in for those top 30 visits. So we're just going to keep this thing moving. There's a big need of wide receiver, and I like that they're addressing that specific need, or at least trying to address it. Now, Michael Williams, Jalen Walker, Oluwafemi, Oladejo, and Shamar James. I'm sorry about the pronunciation. I'm just really, really bad with names. But let's talk about a guy who I know a lot about, Michael Williams, and he is a very special player. At one point in time, he was talked about as one of the top pass rushers in this draft class, but as the pre-draft process has played out, his draft stock has kind of just been moving up, down, left, and right. And I do think Michael Williams is a really good player to keep an eye out for, but I also really, really want you guys to pay attention to a player by the name of Jalen Walker. He's also a guy that the Saints had for a top 30 visit. He can play pretty much 50-50 when it comes to playing in coverage or, trying to play as a pass rusher. I also think that he's a player who's really good as a hybrid edge or linebacker, and he could be really good in Brandon Staley's scheme with the new 3-4 defense, I should say, and working alongside Bo Davis. He's an excellent defensive line coach. I'm really excited about that, and so we'll have to see what happens with there. But if I went with one Bulldog, I like Jalen Walker just because of the versatility there. But if you want just a pure pass rusher, the pure defensive end, that's going to be Michael Williams. But I really like this option of Jalen Walker. So really quickly, I want to ask you a question because, in round 1 and in round 2, you have the opportunity to add to a lot of different players in the draft. So I got to ask you, would you rather go offense or defense? Just type O for offense or D for defense for me down in the comments section. Share your thoughts. Let me know. This will be the pinned comment. So when you get hit with an ad break, I encourage you to scroll down, share your thoughts, and by the time you're done commenting, the video will be playing again here in just a moment. Now let's keep this thing moving. We got Nick Imanwari, Jonas Sanker, Siobhan Revel, and Quincy Riley. And I can tell you right now, I'm a big fan of a couple of these guys, and I'd be okay with pretty much any of them. But we're going to hone in on 2 players, Nick Imanwari first. He's a very productive player at South Carolina. The coverage stats are very impressive, only 200 yards allowed, no touchdowns. He had 6 pass breakups, 4 interceptions, and allowed a quarterback rating of 37.1. I think he would be an excellent addition to the Saints defense, which quite frankly could use another young defensive back to build around. But I also liked the idea of Siobhan Revel, who's a player that was also brought in for a top 30 visit. He's a talented player. There is obviously these small school concerns. However, I'm not going to sit here and say that I'm too worried about that. Worth noting, he did tear his ACL back in September, but before the injury, he was absolutely balling. He only has 4 missed tackles over the course of his career. Very nice size, very nice frame, and he does offer some special teams ability. The pros and the cons are very easy to see whenever you check out the tape. I think he's a player to definitely keep an eye out for, and the Saints do have a need at cornerback as well, so I would love to see the Saints invest at least in one of those top, you have 6 picks in the top 150. You got to make one of those a cornerback, right? I mean, that's just at least my personal opinion. And if you also want to get my personal opinion, I can tell you one thing. Game Time, in my personal opinion, and it's not an opinion, it's a fact. It's the best ticketing app in the whole wide world. And if you're a basketball fan, I know it's tough to watch the Pels. However, silver lining, the tickets are going to be dirt cheap, and they get even cheaper when you download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code CHATSPORTS. Terms do apply, but you can get great deals on last-second tickets and even see your seat view before you buy tickets with the Game Time app. All-in prices show you what you pay without hidden fees or expenses, and Game Time has a really cool feature called Super Deals. These tickets are the best value for events. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. You can get tickets to Jazz Fest. My Arkansas Razorbacks are headed to Baton Rouge to take on the LSU Tigers here in a few weeks, so definitely recommend checking out that game. A lot of implications for Omaha and the SEC Championship or SEC Tournament at the end of the season. And then, of course, you can get tickets to the Falcons at Saints game. We don't have a date yet, but tickets are available, and you can see the seat views. You can see it's a super deal. I highly encourage you to download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code CHATSPORTS for $20 off your first purchase. All the information is in the comment section and description of this video. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with the Game Time app. Download Game Time today, create an account, and use code CHATSPORTS for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply, but once again, create an account and download the Game Time app. Use code CHATSPORTS for $20 off. Download Game Time today. Last minute tickets, lowest price, guaranteed. Now, a big name to keep an eye out for. I unfortunately don't think it'll matter. Mason Graham. He was also on a top 30 visit with the New Orleans Saints, and I can tell you right now, if he is available at number 9, you sprint. And I mean Usain Bolt, elbows to ears, sprint to the draft stage to turn in your card, because Mason Graham must be a New Orleans Saint if he's available at 9. There's no chance he falls to 9 for what it's worth. If you do really want Mason Graham, you're going to have to trade up to go and get him. But he is an extremely talented player. I think pairing him up with Brian Brzee would be absolutely electric. But another name to keep an eye out for in terms of the top 30 visits is Deion Walker, the player out of Kentucky. I don't want to sit here and say that I dislike this as an option, but I do think that he is a player that, we'll have to see. Going into the season, there was top 10 buzz. There was first round buzz for him. Our draft experts here at Chat Sports, Tom Downey and Jack Sperry, they have him at a 3rd round grade. Some pros and cons for him. The movement skills at the size are unreal. 6'7", 331 pounds. Very, very massive size. Kentucky, fun fact, would drop him into coverage. Somehow it worked. The upper body power is really, really nice, but some cons. He plays way too tall. The top-heavy build, and that kind of stuff can be a little bit of a factor. But, I will say this, when it comes to the defensive line as a whole and the defensive scheme as a whole, I'm just eager to see what the new defensive line is going to look like. Again, new scheme under Brandon Staley, new coach with Bo Davis. I am absolutely in love with this new coaching staff, and I do believe even the guys on the roster like Isaiah Foskey and Carl Granderson, Cam Jordan, all of those guys are going to benefit from this coaching change and from this scheme change, so we'll have to see what happens whenever things get going. But I'm just excited. I'm really, really eager to see how the new defensive line looks, and I think it's going to be fun. It's going to be much more modern and something that we haven't gotten to see in quite a while, so it's going to be a good time. If you guys want the Saints to absolutely crush this draft, I need you to like this video. They need to. They absolutely have no excuse not to, because this is a very, very, very important offseason. If you agree with this statement right here, the Saints have to crush the draft, I need you to like this video. Alrighty, let's talk about some running backs here. Ollie Gordon, he's a name to definitely keep an eye out for. At one point in time, there was conversations about him potentially being a Heisman candidate. However, things kind of dipped off in the past season after a down year for the Oklahoma State Cowboys. Shout out to my baby brother. He is a student at OSU. I also do not like Oklahoma State. No pokes. We're not going to say go pokes. It's no pokes. But then another name to keep an eye out for, Lan Larison. Let me tell you about this kid. He had back-to-back seasons with over 1,100 yards. He averaged 6.2 yards per carry in 2023. He had 5.2 yards per carry in 2024. And then he averaged 13.7 yards per catch in 2024. Accumulated a grand total of 1,400 yards, 17 touchdowns on the ground, 847 receiving yards, and 6 touchdowns through the air. That is a really good production for a small school player out of UC Davis. But let's hone in on some bigger name guys. You can see side by side, these two players, pretty solid. But I will tell you right now, I don't think that these are my top guys. They're not players that I'm in love with. But I can sit here and tell you, when you go and take a look at what the New Orleans Saints need and you take a look at what the roster looks like, they definitely need a running back. You cannot leave this draft class without a running back. Whether you prioritize in a round 1 with Jeanty, whether you go round 2 and get a Travion Henderson, maybe a Marion Hampton or something like that. Maybe in round 3 you go get Cam Scattaboo. Maybe in round 4, 5, or 6 it's somebody else that we haven't talked about today. But the Saints have to leave with the running back. There is no question about it, and that's not something I'm willing to argue with. They definitely need it. And they also definitely need to make sure that whatever they bring in is a compliment to Alvin Kamara, but can also be the bell cow back inevitably whenever he retires. Now, last few names to keep an eye out for, Thomas Fedome, Josh Connerly, and Ariante Ursery. Yes, I'm getting in word from my executive producers that your boy has perfect pronunciation. I didn't even pronounce that right, but it's all good. Let's throw it to the PFF grades for Ariante Ursery. He tested out pretty well according to Pro Football Focus in terms of how he graded out. 77.5 overall grade, 77.3 pass blocking grade, 73.6 run blocking grade. And, for the Minnesota Golden Gophers, I will say this. He isn't somebody that you should be absolutely dead set on taking, but he does have some potential. He's a second round grade from our draft experts. He's very, very large. He has decent athletic ability. However, he runs into some leverage issues. And, at times in 2023, it seemed like he was much better than in 2024. So there's all the names. The top 30 list so far. We broke him down. I've tweeted about him. I posted on Instagram. I posted on TikTok. So let me know if you guys have any thoughts on my social medias. Y'all stay golden. Thank you so much for tuning in to today's video. We'll see you next time. Radical. You're good. Okay. Just hold tight with us. We're finishing off some technical difficulties. Making sure we're all good here. Just give us 10 seconds here. Give us literally 10 seconds. I'm going to take a quick sip of water here as well. That was the world's longest sip of water. World's longest sip of water. See, I told you we'd be back. We ain't going nowhere. What's happening, guys? Y'all, we're back, so now we're living the dream. What do you guys want to do in round 2? Who do y'all want to draft? Because it's very obvious. Saints could go quarterback. Saints could go pass catcher. Round 1, there's so many options. But what about round 2? We don't talk about round 2 enough. We definitely don't talk about round 2 enough. I'll take Tyler Warren in the first and Milroe in the second from Brian W. Kev says, can Saints trade up high enough for a quarterback out of Ohio State? You are not going to have to trade up into the top 5 to get Will Howard. U.S. Champ wants offensive, or I don't know, he just says line or running back. Jaden Higgins or Carson. I don't know who that is. Trey Harrison the second from Feeds Alpha. I like that one. Cornerback if in round 2, if we go offense in round 1 from Cartel. Sounds good. At cornerback, which one? I'm going to be honest. I love Will Johnson. But, like, I almost would rather get Jahdae Barron. I would almost rather get just defensive weapon if I had to pick between the two. Looking to Carson, he's really good. Okay, I shall Eminem. Shedeur at 9. Well, we're talking about at 40 now. We're also talking about a mailbag. So use hashtag Saints or send in a super chat if you guys want to get in on the mailbag. What's this next one? Oh, yeah, quarterback stuff. Cool. I was worried about that last one. I was like, I don't know how I'm going to be able to. I don't know enough about most of these dudes. So we made it work. Life is good. If you guys have questions, use hashtag Saints. Send in a super chat. We'll get you in on the show. If you don't use hashtag Saints or super chat, then you won't get on the show. That's how it works. Software. It's science. It's computers. I'm not the guy. The computer's the guy to be mad at. Or yourself if you can't type hashtag Saints or super chat. We only have 4. So right now I'm telling you, if you get in, you are 100% on the mailbag. That is a 100% guarantee. You will 1,000% get on the mailbag if you send in the hashtag Saints. U.S. champ, that ain't going to work. That ain't going to work. You can't do hashtag space Saints. Got to use hashtag Saints. Just as it's written on the screen right here. Tried to make it easy for you guys. Mad Drummer says, Tet or Shedeur gone. Higgins or Dart second. I like it. Isaiah, we'll get you in there. If not Shedeur at 9, then Will Johnson. Okay. You're good, U.S. champ. Yeah, just no spaces. Write it as exactly as you see it right here. Everything looks good now, Trace. Appreciate you, Jerry G. Thank you for letting us know. We got it fixed. Shout out to Lopez and executive producer Sam for helping us get everything going and keeping us moving. Do you think we'll have Shedeur in for a top 30 visit? I don't know. And if we don't, I'm not really worried about it. We just went through all the top 30 visits, and there's actually a pretty proven history of Saints not really using the top 30 visits and making those picks a lot. Just happens. I don't even know what that means, Chase. Saints, Milroe at 40, Tyler Warren at 9. I like it from Brian. I like it. Jerry wants McMillan at 9. Yeah, use hashtag Saints. Use hashtag Saints. Hashtag Saints or Super Chat. If you do send it to Super Chat, you skip the line, and we'll be able to spend a little bit extra time on your question. And it's just an easy way to support the show and what we're doing here and the movement of Saints Now by Chat Sports, if you will. What's up? Mm-hmm. Do you want to tell them that? Yo, we're gonna put Lopez on the mic here real quick.
Real quick, if you sent a hashtag Saints in earlier, send it in again, because when we had to do our little reset, we had to create a new YouTube link. So all the ones that were sent in earlier are gone.
If you put in a question at the very beginning of the show, or then I need you to resubmit it, because we don't have it anymore. If you're like, I already submitted like 3 or 4 good ones, we don't have them anymore. So resubmit them. That's the rules. That's the request. Resubmit them. There you go. If Shedeur already picked, Tyler Warren would be solid. I like it. Alrighty, let's do it. I like it. Good stuff, guys. We're getting a lot of them. We're getting a lot of questions in. Cool, yeah. Alrighty. It is me. Do you think linebacker is an underrated selection for this draft? Mere comment, great question. I'll answer it in the mailbag. Kyron says, is the Saints willing to draft a cornerback in the round 1? Yes, I think they are willing to draft a corner in first round. I do definitely think they're willing to draft a corner in round 1. I don't think they're not willing to take anything other than like maybe a kicker in round 1. Just crazy take. Maybe not a center. I don't think they need a center right now. Yeah. Oh my God. With a top 10 pick, you should drop a top 10 player. We're gonna break the internet with this take here, dude. Even what if you find like a top 7 player that falls to 9? That's crazy. I'd literally cry. I wouldn't actually cry. I'd just be very shocked. Man, Saints, that position. What position do you think will go at 9? Good question from Mad Drummer. Who are your top do not pick him players in this year's draft? Jalen Milroe was one, but I'm starting to have to try and convince myself that I like Jalen Milroe. Dude, I don't know. Who are players I don't want drafted? Yeah, Jalen Milroe is pretty high for sure. Honestly, there's not a lot of Luther Burden. You don't need, but it's not like don't draft. It's because you don't need that kind of player. It's not like I don't like him. Honestly, I don't even know. Like, there's not very many. Like, absolutely not. You have so many needs. You need to fix a lot of problems. So, like, quite frankly, I don't think the Saints should be picky. Beggars can't be choosers. It's not. Yeah, just take good football players. Crazy concept, I know. All righty. Are we ready to roll for segment 2? Alrighty, we're going to get into a really fun segment. Cool. Alrighty. What we're going to do is go through the Athletics, Dane Brugler. Does he work for the Athletic anymore? I don't know if he works for the Athletic anymore. Yeah, it was posted on the Athletic. Now that I say that out loud, it 100% was. Well, Dane Brugler, he wrote The Beast. It's out. Talked about quarterbacks. We're going to talk about it because the Saints have a need at quarterback, and they're definitely going to be drafting one, in my opinion. So we're going to talk about it and go through what Brugler had to say here on the live show. Sorry, guys. I got something in the back of my throat and in my chest, like giggity. Alrighty. Dude, I take a sip of water, and then I'm like, all right, I'm good, and then I cough, and it's not good. Huh? No, yeah, there you go. I was like, wait, what did you say? All righty. Let's do it. Dane Brugler's The Beast is here. We're going to break down what he had to say about a bunch of different players here on the show. Welcome into another edition of Saints Now by Chat Sports. As always, I'm your host, Trizzy Trace Girouard. For today's episode, we're going to go through the quarterback draft targets that the New Orleans Saints have already shown interest in, and we're going to take a look at what Dane Brugler's The Beast had to say about these specific draft targets. I'm really excited about it. The Beast is an awesome draft handbook, if you will, to learn a lot about all sorts of prospects at any different level. Shout out to Dane Brugler for all the awesome work he does there, and I cannot wait to talk about a lot of these guys, and we're going to show you quickly the meetings so far for the New Orleans Saints in terms of the quarterback position. For New Orleans, they obviously met with Cam Ward. That was a formal meeting at the NFL Combine. I don't think that one's happening. Shedeur Sanders had a formal combine meeting. He also got visited by Scott Tolzien and Keith Williams at the Colorado Pro Day. Quinn Ewers, he's been very busy with the New Orleans Saints. A top 30 visit, a pro day. He also got dinner before the pro day. He had a formal meeting before the combine, and he also had dinner. He had a formal draft meeting at the combine, and he also had dinner before his pro day with the New Orleans Saints, Jahdae Barron, Matthew Golden, a couple other guys. And then Jalen Milroe had a private workout with the Saints. Jaxson Dart did have Kellen Moore and many of the Saints' top people attend the Ole Miss Pro Day. Kyle McCord, the Saints hosted a private workout for the Syracuse quarterback. Kellen Moore attended the Ohio State Pro Day to see Will Howard. And then Hunter Deckers. Scott Tolzien worked out Hunter Deckers at South Dakota's Pro Day. And if you remember him, well, he's a player who got suspended due to gambling or betting on the teams and stuff, and now he's trying to kind of find his way back to the NFL. Catherine Terrell was the one who reported that. So nonetheless, a bunch of quarterbacks that the Saints shown interest in. A lot of top names. So really quick, I want to just add some context here. Dane Brugler's top quarterbacks, according to The Beast, are as follows. Cam Ward at 1, Shedeur at 2, Dart at 3, shockingly, Tyler Shough at 4. And then Jalen Milroe at 5. And the numbers you see in the parentheses, those are the designations for, what round and what grade Dane Brugler has for the guys. So Quinn Ewers is a 3rd round grade. Kyle McCord gets a 3rd or a 4th round. Will Howard gets a 4th. Dylan Gabriel gets a 4th. And then Riley Leonard, a 4th or a 5th round pick. I genuinely do believe the New Orleans Saints will draft a quarterback this year. And I do believe it's going to be a top option. And it's going to be a guy that probably is going to be taken by the 3rd round. I genuinely did think that on day 1 or 2, the Saints will address the quarterback position. And if they don't, well, then they're definitely looking to next year to take over, see who can take over for the foreseeable future and who can be Kellen Moore's guy. So I want you to get down in the comment section. It's 100% going to happen in my opinion, but which quarterback should it be? Let me know in the comment section. Who do you want the Saints to draft at the quarterback position? I think that there's a handful of names to keep an eye out for, but honestly, my top 4 is going to boil down to these guys. Shedeur Sanders, Quinn Ewers, Jaxson Dart, Jalen Milroe. I think in no particular order, it's going to be one of these 4 guys. There's a lot of buzz around Shedeur and the New Orleans Saints. Quinn Ewers obviously had a lot of meetings and has spent a lot of time with the New Orleans Saints in the pre-draft process. The fact that Kellen Moore specifically was present to Jaxson Dart's pro day is not insignificant in my opinion. And there's reports out there that the Saints were very impressed with their private workout that they had with Jalen Milroe. So, I do think that it's important to note. An important question to answer is who is Kellen Moore's guy? We're not going to talk about who we want. It doesn't matter who I want. It doesn't matter who you want. I love you, Nick Lopez. Producer Lopez, doesn't matter what he wants either. What matters is what Kellen Moore wants. What matters is who is his guy. And at the end of the day, you guys can sit here and call me crazy. I don't care who gets drafted. I'm going to support it either way because I'm just eager and I'm excited to see Kellen Moore get his guy. So without further ado, we're going to talk about the 4 people I think could be his guy and what the Beast had to say about those players. So let's talk about the pros of Shedeur Sanders. He's a controlled passer. He's very polished. And on top of that, he's a player who I have a lot of faith in. He has a very snappy release and he is very creative with his athleticism inside or in and out of structure. And he's able to expand his options. Dane Brugler points out he's a Mahomes-like scrambler. He's not going to be fast, but he's savvy and takes yards when the defense gives it to him. He's also a player who can get the ball out, very accurate. He can make plays in structure or on the move. And in case you didn't know, he is the most accurate passer of all time. Pretty cool note if you didn't know that. But in terms of some cons, in life, there's also, critiques to give him. He does have an inconsistent pocket feel, and sometimes he maneuvers around the pocket too much, and he drifts, which is a problem he has. But, to his credit, he also can move around the pocket to climb it and create space, but he definitely has an issue holding on to the ball too long. He's generally an accurate passer, but he definitely could clean up the deep passes. And on top of that, he's a player that didn't fumble the ball a lot, but he leaves the ball exposed when he's running. I mean, he's running with the ball out here a lot, and so it's a little scary if you ask me. So when it comes down to Shedeur Sanders, here's kind of the overall sum of what Dane Brugler had to say. Sanders doesn't have the physical traits to get away with some of his decisions, but he is a poised, rhythmic passer when he stays true to his skill set, and he shows the necessary touch and confidence of an NFL starter. He fits best in a timing-based offense. And for Shedeur Sanders, look, there's no question about the accuracy. There's no question about the mindset, the attitude, the swagger, the confidence. Those are all things that are off the charts. We just got to see if he can put it together on Sundays. And I think for Sanders and just about any quarterback prospect out there, half of it is how good is a player. The other half is what situation are they in? What team are they on? What support do they have around him? Who's the coach? So some of it does have to do with Shedeur Sanders as a player. Some of it has to do with the team where he may end up. He does, like I mentioned earlier, hold the all-time record for career completion percentage in college football at 71.8%. Had a 74% completion percentage last year, and he did benefit from a high volume of screens and checkdowns. In case you didn't know this, just 23.7 of his completions the past 2 seasons were on throws of over 10 yards. So that is definitely something worth noting. I really am a big fan of Shedeur Sanders, and I'm the guy who's starting to coin the term of Shedeurlands. So we're going to be very excited about it if it happens. He has superstar potential, and he has a mindset that, quite frankly, could be intoxicating as a fan, and I think would be really, really exciting to have to run the offense for the foreseeable future. Now, really quick, I want to tell you guys about today's presenting sponsor, and that is Prize Picks. I absolutely love Prize Picks. It's my favorite daily fantasy sports app, and it's the best place to get real money sports action. You just pick more or less on at least 2 players for a shot to win up to 1,000 times your cash. Run your game all season long on Prize Picks. Springtime is here and baseball season is officially underway, so don't miss your chance to check out some of the awesome players on the diamond. You can choose more or less on strikeouts, RBIs, first inning runs, or you can just try to go win that 1,000 times your cash. On Prize Picks, you can mix and match player projections from different sports. Combine your favorite baseball players with players from basketball, hockey, esports, and much, much more. You can sign up today and get $50 instantly when you play $5. You don't even need to win to receive the $50 bonus. It's guaranteed. And, I'm not a guy who likes to put cheddar down on baseball. I just kind of like to have it on in the background and see what happens. So I'm going to look ahead to some season-long projections for some professional football. Patrick Mahomes, I'm just going to speak it into existence. I'm tired of him being great. We're going to project a down year. We're going with the less. Saquon Barkley, I also think losing Kellen Moore is going to be impactful for his tape this year. So I think he's going to have less than 1499.5 rushing yards. And then DK Metcalf. If he gets Aaron Rodgers in Pittsburgh, I think that is a lock to be more. So if you guys want to fade these picks, you want to tail these picks, do what you want. Just make sure it's with Prize Picks. Download the Prize Picks app today and use code CLNS to get $50 instantly when you play $5. That's code CLNS on Prize Picks to get $50 instantly when you play $5. You don't even need to win to receive the bonus. It's guaranteed. Shout out to Prize Picks. Run your game. All the information is in the comments and description of this video. Moving on to Jaxson Dart, a player I'm extremely excited about, and I know a lot of Saints fans are also very excited about. I will say this. I think that he is a player to definitely keep an eye out on. Again, I said it before. I'll say it again. Do not think that Kellen Moore being there specifically for Jaxson Dart and physically being present, that is not insignificant. He has really nice physical tools. He is really good with his rhythmic passing. And on top of that, at 6'2", 221 pounds, I'm a very, very big fan of his. Fun fact, his birthday is the same as my mom's, May 13th, so that's kind of cool. But he does throw a lot of catchable passes. The mobility and the athleticism are there. And some other highlights of his game or how competitive he is. He does, the accuracy does not take a dip whenever he's throwing on the move, which is definitely something to keep into consideration. He has an efficient hitch-free release. He's prototypical in terms of sizing. The arm strength does give him access. He can hit every blade of grass on the field. And he also is a player that I do think is very successful. He's a gamer. He's a competitor. And there's a reason that Ole Miss was as successful as they were. And let's talk about some cons. Because, like I said, we got to be fair. Pros and cons for each player. The post-snap decision-making is kind of the biggest thing NFL scouts are worried about, and that's being reported by Dane Brugler and the Beast. He definitely needs better anticipation when throwing the football. His eyes, they tend to drop whenever the pocket collapses and he feels the heat. So whenever pressure does rise, Jaxson Dart is a player, the eyes drop, and that's something that you definitely need to work on in the National Football League, especially if you're a team like the Saints who may not have the best offensive line. Now, here's what Brugler had to say in his summary. Jaxson Dart needs time to develop his progression-based reads and anticipation, things he wasn't necessarily asked to do in college at Ole Miss, but he is a natural thrower of the football with promising mobility and high-level competitive intangibles. If allowed to develop at his own pace, he offers NFL starting upside in the right situation. And the confidence and the intangibles are things that Jaxson Dart highlighted at the Combine in terms of what makes him a great quarterback and what separates him from the rest of the quarterback class. And in case you didn't know, he's also Ole Miss's all-time leader in wins with 28. He's the leader in passing yards with 10,617, which is past Eli Manning, and the leader in total offense with over 12,000 yards. Ladies and gentlemen, whether you love him, whether you hate him, you have to respect him. Jaxson Dart is a good football player. He is a guy that I think Kellen Moore is going to be very high on, and he's a guy I definitely expect the New Orleans Saints to make a call or to submit a draft pick on. I think that this is the most likely candidate when it comes to players the Saints may or may not draft. Now, we are going to be giving you guys draft coverage every single day leading up to the draft, daily videos as always promised, but we are also going to be live April 24th, 25th, and 26th of the 2025 NFL Draft. All 3 days, all 7 rounds, we're going to be breaking it down here on Saints Now by Chat Sports. And then on top of that, we're going to give you guys breakdowns of the undrafted free agents. So be sure to subscribe, lock us in for daily Saints content and free videos leading up to the draft. Alrighty, let's talk about Jalen Milroe because he is a football player that is extremely electric with the ball in his hands. When it comes to being a rusher of the football, this kid is extremely talented. Some would say he's second to none. The speed and the physicality are definitely there, and he's a player that creates explosive plays in the passing game. And in case you didn't know, he had 12 rushing touchdowns of 10 yards or more in 2024, which was the most by a quarterback in the last 25 years. For context, Lamar Jackson had 11 in 2016 and in 2017. He also had 16 passing touchdowns in 2024 and averaged 36.6 yards on those touchdowns. So, he's a player that can create in the air. It's not a big strength of his, but the deep ball is definitely a big strength of his. He's just got to hone in the passing. He's got to just be a better regular throw of the football. He misses the layups way too often. And, you see a clip of him at the Senior Bowl, and it just absolute ducks. And at the pro days, it's just not ideal. Like it's the things that you shouldn't be good at, he's so good at. But the easy stuff he struggles with, and he does have poor quick game touch. He bails whenever the pass rush is coming in too early at times for his own good. And, I do think that he does have an issue of trying to create with his legs and not relying on passing the football. And we can dive into what Dane Brugler had to say here. Overall, Jalen Milroe is unpolished as a passer, both physically and mentally, but he is a dynamic athlete with a unique blend of speed, arm strength, and intelligence, making him an intriguing developmental option for the patient coaching staff. His upside is tough to measure, but it is higher considering he has all the tools to switch positions if his time at quarterback doesn't pan out. Interesting. Versatile offensive weapon. Kellen Moore has talked a lot about versatile offensive weapons. He's talked a lot about getting just a player who is a great athlete. It doesn't matter what you have on the roster now. If you have the opportunity to add a great football player, you do it, and you conform the game plan to work around the player, not the player around the game plan. The Saints were also impressed at Jalen Milroe's private workout, like I mentioned earlier. And, there's a probably good reason for it because the legs were very impressive. And he probably looked like he was a good throw of the football when you don't have a pass rush and you're tossing it around in your underwear or in your Nikes or whatever. But, worth noting, just a little tidbit from the beast of Dane Brugler. He said that he had 20 rushing touchdowns but had 10 interceptions and just 5 passing touchdowns in SEC play. A dangerous weapon on zone reads, options, and powers. Milroe is an explosive athlete with the speed to rip off big gains at any moment. 20% of his 2024 carries resulted in gains of 10 yards or more. 70, that's crazy. 10 yards or more, excuse me. As a passer, the ball shoots out of his hands to drive the ball to every level, but he throws with too much heat and needs to develop his changeup. His disjointed mechanics disrupt the rhythm in his drops, which lead to inconsistent accuracy, anticipation, and processing. I'm a fan of Jalen Milroe. I think that he has the ability to be a dynamic rusher of the football. I think if you are willing to wait and develop him as a passer, he can work out. But I got to say, I just think that he is a player I'm not super duper high on. However, if Kellen Moore is willing to work with it and he's willing to be patient, he's willing to see what happens, Derek Carr is your starter this year no matter what. So maybe that's a route that's actually worth investigating a little bit more. Last but not least, let's talk about Quinn Ewers. Quinn Ewers is a little bit of an interesting case here because when we're talking about him as a prospect coming out of high school, I mean, he was like extremely highly coveted, a very, very well-respected quarterback. Obviously went to Ohio State, transferred to Texas, and at his time with the Texas Longhorns, like he's shown some development. And I also will say for Quinn Ewers, I'm not going to sit here and say he's a player who I absolutely am horrified of, but I will tell you this, I don't love him as a prospect. He is a natural passer. He does have a fast release, and he is comfortable throwing off platform. It displays the nice touch, and he's a calm player. Those are all things that are true, except the cons, the legs aren't necessarily a threat. Whenever the pocket shrinks and the pocket collapses, he does have a little bit of a tendency to panic, and he does oftentimes play with or throw the ball with too much touch. He doesn't play with his fastball enough. He throws with nice touch, and he can layer the ball into the pass catcher's hands well, but he's got to be able to throw it on a dot and throw it on a line a little bit more frequently. The overall scouting report from Dane Brugler: Quinn Ewers has the arm, the intelligence, and the poise that will translate to the next level, although his up-and-down decision-making limitations as a play extender and durability concerns create question marks for his pro ceiling. And I think those are fair concerns to have. If he stays healthy, the tools are there to compete for NFL starting reps. Now, again, the big question, is this Kellen Moore's guy? I mean, for Quinn Ewers, he's a player who trusts his arm over the mechanics. He also creates rotational torque to get the ball out quickly and plays with fast eyes within the structure of the offense. At Texas, he didn't have a ton of true dropbacks until he had to do it on third down, which is when his inconsistent pocket presence led to more negative results, meaning sacks and turnovers. The physicality of a long season definitely wore on Quinn Ewers. The fact that he had 2 college football playoff runs definitely were things that you could see impacting him during the end of the season and early in the season this past year. But he's definitely willing to play through the pain. He's a tough guy, and the execution was affected, but he's a player mentally. He's very tough. So I like Quinn Ewers. I don't love him. I like him. But hey, we just gave you a lot of really in-depth information about some really important positions, the most important position in all of sports at quarterback. Got to give a lot of credit to Dane Brugler. He does a lot of awesome work. His draft coverage is second to none, and The Beast is an awesome resource for draft content, so I highly encourage you to check it out, or encourage you to subscribe, because we're definitely going to be giving you tidbits The Beast leading up to draft day. So, by the way, if you guys liked this content, a little bit longer of video, about 20 minutes, but very in-depth information about the quarterback position and about some guys that I think the Saints are definitely interested in, I want you to get down in the comments and yell, "Who dat?" for me. I just want to see, is this content we keep doing in-depth, insightful, informative content around specific players of need? Saints fans, I appreciate y'all for tuning in to today's video. Again, a little bit longer, but we appreciate y'all for bearing with us and making us a part of your day. Y'all stay golden, and we'll see you next time. Goodness gracious, your boy can talk. Good God. The kid can speak, can he? All righty, mailbag coming up. Brian Atkinson saying we should do real football analysis on Shedeur Sanders. That's what that just was, my friend. That's what that just was. Yep. That's exactly what we just did. All righty. Jerry saying, what just happened?
I don't know, Jerry.
You're saying, apparently you haven't done your analysis on Shedeur. Brother. Oh, he's talking to the other guy. Okay. I was like, dude, I just did.
I'm about to say, like
we just did for 20 minutes. I don't know what to tell you. I was like, holy cow. Okay, we're all Gucci. All righty, mailbag coming up. Use hashtag Saints. Send in a question. And we're going to get this thing rocking and rolling. I don't have to dip out right after the mailbag. So if you guys want to have like a little super chat palooza, I think I have like maybe 5 minutes of fun. It's Maddie's aunt's birthday, so we have a birthday dinner that I have to go to, and I still have things I have to do. I don't know when I'm going to do it. I don't know how I'm going to do it, but we're going to get it done because Trizzy Trace doesn't make excuses. He just gets shit done. Dude. Hey, I'm too busy to I'm too busy to be like freaking out about it. I just got to get it done, man. I got to get shit done. Jaden has a question. Courtney has a question. If you guys have a hot take, you have a trade idea, a draft target, anything you want, use hashtag Saints or send in a super chat. If you do super chat, you skip the line, and we get to talk to you a little bit more in depth. So have a little bit of fun with it. So there we go. Who's the best cornerback the Saints should target in the draft? Great question, Saints Pels Chop It Up podcast. Hey, Isaiah, it's a great philosophy. It is what it is, and just keep it moving. Or as Joe Dirt likes to say, Joe Dirte for the real ones, life's a garden. Dig it. Life's a garden. Dig it. Yep. What's the other Joe Dirt quote that he had? Life's a guard. Lopez in my ear just said, "Who's Joe Dirt?" There's no way.
I have no idea.
No
I have no
way.
idea who
You don't
Joe
know
Dirt
who
is.
Joe Dirt is?
No.
Who knows Joe Dirt? Show of hands. If you know Joe Dirt, type dirt in the chat. Oh, you got to keep on keeping on. Life's a garden. Dig it.
See how
Listen to this. You got to keep on keeping on. Life's a garden. Dig it. You got to make it work for you.
You see how no one commented dirt? Yeah.
I see Isaiah. Isaiah said he knows it. Ino knows it. Queen
Oh.
Courtney knows it. Gino knows Joe Dirt. 143 knows Dirty Dirt. Yeah. Lopez, your homework this weekend is to watch Joe Dirt. How have you never seen Joe Dirt?
Pretty
David
easily.
Spade, mullet.
Oh, no, David Spade is.
Yeah, dude. He literally there's a part of it. He's in Louisiana, or is he? Is it? No, the whole movie's not based in Louisiana, is it?
David Spade was cool as hell in Grown Ups.
Where's Joe Dirt based out of? Well, he travels all over the country. Okay, so yeah, he goes down, I'm pretty sure, to Louisiana at one point. Anyway, long story short, Joe Dirt is awesome. It's so great. Can you say one funny Falcons joke? 28-3. There you go. All right, let's get into the mailbag. Lopez, feel free to hop in if you care to join. You'll dabble. Radical. All righty. Mailbag coming up. We got questions. We got answers. I just got a DM. Let's see what it is. Okay, nothing pressing. Cool. Let's ride. All righty, mailbag coming at you now. What's going on, Saints fans? We are so close to the 2025 NFL Draft. It's just a couple of weeks away, and if you are pumped up, I need you to like this video, because if you aren't, we're going to pump you up today with our Q&A with questions from our live show every Wednesday, 4 p.m. Central Time. Our subscribers had questions. They had hot takes. They had draft ideas. They had trade ideas. So we're going to react to each and every one of those. Me and my boy, Nick Lopez. Thank you guys so much for watching. Y'all stay golden, and let's have some fun. Queen Courtney getting things started off with us. If Tet McMillan is gone, who are your top 5 receivers you'd go after? Take your heart out of it. Okay. So I'm going to still sit here and say top 5 wide receivers that I would take a look at. No Tet McMillan. It's still going to be a player that fits that large, big-bodied profile that the Saints are missing. So I'm still going to go, in no particular order, Jaden Higgins, Trey Harris, Savion Williams, Jack Besh, and then I will go Isaac Tesla or Andrew Armstrong. I'm going to say Isaac Tesla. I really like him, but Andrew Armstrong is also a dog out of Arkansas. Those are my top 5. There's also a plethora of other big body wide receivers out there as well, but you got to get somebody who fits that size profile. Thank you for your question, Courtney. Isaiah, what do I think about Kyle McCord at 184? Well, Lopez, I'm going to bring you in on this one because I'm not very high on Kyle McCord, and I can understand why people want to draft him, but look, unless it's one of those top guys, I'm really just not interested in drafting.
I will say at pick 184, I could probably be talked into it. If you would have asked me before college football last year, I would have been like, no, stay away from Kyle McCord. I did not think it was going to work at Syracuse. Yeah. But he kind of did show out at Syracuse. I will give him that. Yeah. Do you want to? So with Kyle McCord, we'll bring Lopez on screen, by the way. With Kyle McCord, I mean, last year, 66 completion percentage, 4,779 yards, 34 touchdowns, 12 interceptions, 8.8 average depth per target, or average depth of target for the ADOT, for those of you who pay attention to that kind of stuff. Like, it's not a mobile guy, or he's not a running threat. He has a good arm, but it's not elite. I'd rather not, personally. It's a 6th-round pick, so whatever, but I just go get best player available there, I guess. Holding on to is it's a 6th-round pick. It's best player available. Just get who you can. Yeah. So,
whatever. But I'm not going to go like fishing for Kyle McCord. Good question though, Isaiah. Thank you for asking. And also, thank you for tuning in to our regular Twitter Spaces. Appreciate you, brother. By the way, we do regular Twitter Spaces on my social media accounts. Live mailbags. So you want to do that, hit me up on Twitter. Lil Barbie doll. That's funny. Have you seen the Tyreek Hill trade rumors? The Saints should do it on draft day. Look, yes, I have seen the Tyreek Hill trade rumors. I've also seen some other Tyreek Hill stuff out there as well. No. Yes, he is a great football player, but I don't want to give up a lot. I don't want to have to pay him a lot. I don't want to have to deal with the extracurriculars and all 57 of his kids. No thanks. I mean, he's a good football player. There's no question about it. But, like, also, why trade for another player that sure can be a big contributor, but, like, you don't need a speedster. You need a big-bodied guy to operate over the middle. So I'm going to disagree with the Saints should do it on draft day. Like, what do you think, Lopez? I'm not very high on this idea, but what do you think?
I would say the football player in Tyreek Hill is not bad. I feel like anybody can find a way to use that talent.
Sure,
but
sure.
You would be playing with fire, kind of throwing him into a locker room right now.
Yeah. I'm good.
Yeah.
It's nothing that it's not against him. I'm good. I'm good. I don't want to. The Saints need to establish a culture, but that's the culture that they don't need to establish is Tyreek Hill right now. And again, nothing against him. I think for the New Orleans Saints, it doesn't make sense. Another team, absolutely. Just not New Orleans, in my personal opinion. I want to ask you the question, though. Would you trade for Tyreek Hill? I bet a lot of y'all would say yes. Again, I would too. If I had a lot more money to spend and I had more draft capital to give up and I was one player like that away, 100% I would do it. But the Saints have much bigger needs than another fast wide receiver. It's a little bit older and causes some problems off the field, but that's neither here nor there. But if you want to go to see the New Orleans Saints play, if you want to go see the Pelicans play, if you want to go see some esports, you want to go watch professional baseball, college baseball, concerts, comedy shows, theater, any live event, honestly, I can tell you right now, the best place to get tickets is the Game Time app. I highly encourage you to download the Game Time app. Use code CHATSPORTS to get $20 off your first purchase. Terms do apply, but download the Game Time app, create an account, and redeem code CHATSPORTS to get $20 off your first purchase. You can get great deals on last-second tickets and even see your seat view before you buy tickets. And all-in prices show you what you pay without hidden fees or expensive. And by the way, Game Time has a new feature called Super Deals. These tickets are the best value for events, and Game Time will highlight those tickets to make sure you are maximizing your savings. And there's nothing like being at a live sporting event. The hype is unmatched. The roar of the crowd, it's absolutely electric. But I can tell you, it's also so much fun to go see your favorite artists perform live. Get some general admission tickets over at Jazz Fest. Go see any of these awesome artists that are going to be playing throughout the Jazz Fest weekend. Go see them play. You can get tickets to the Game Time app. We got you covered. But if you're more of a sports guy and you don't want to go to Jazz Fest, or if you're over in Baton Rouge, you're an LSU student, you're like, man, I just can't get tickets. Or if you're like, bro, I graduated, I don't get my student tickets anymore, but I got to go see Arkansas take on LSU, and Arkansas beat the brakes off of LSU. Woo pig, baby. We got tickets to that available as well. So download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code CHATSPORTS to get $20 off your first purchase. The link is in the comments. It's in the description of this video. Highly encourage you to download the app today. The Game Time is the best ticketing app in the whole wide world. It's not a debate. It's not a discussion. This is a fact. Download the Game Time app today and use code CHATSPORTS for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. All the info is in the comments and description of this video. Shout out to Game Time. What time is it? Game time. Let's go to Tri-Lambs. All righty. What changed your outlook on Shedeur at 9? That's a great question, Tri-Lambs. That's actually a really, really good question. Thank you for the super chat, by the way. A couple of things. One, I kind of just got over the idea of not drafting a quarterback. To me, I'm not so focused on who the quarterback is. I'm focused on more so, look, if Kellen Moore believes in him, then I believe in him too. If Kellen Moore likes him, I'm rolling with it too. If Kellen Moore thinks that Shedeur Sanders is going to be the next great quarterback, then I believe in it as well. And I also will say this. I'm tired of being the nice guys. I'm tired of having this goody two-shoes quarterback. I'm tired of not winning games. I'm ready for some swagger. I'm ready for some attitude. I'm ready for some confidence. I'm ready for a new look Saints offense. And look, I also think Shedeur Sanders can run Kellen Moore's offense really well. And to be honest, I think he'd be a really good guy for the vibes of New Orleans. Like, I just think that he embodies the city well, and I think that he could be a really good quarterback for the foreseeable future. Lopez, what do you think about this? Because I'm a fan of Shedeur at 9, but I also understand like why people are like, nah, not 9, not yet. I don't want to do that. Like, I think it's fair either way.
I was in that crowd for a little bit. I would say I haven't fully exited yet, but what has really sold me so far has been all the interviews that you've been kind of showing me, or that like I'm coming across on social media. Maybe the talent isn't as much as I would like to see, but the mindset right there.
The way that he talks, the way he conducts himself, the way he goes about getting ready for game days is intoxicating. And it's something also as a fan that quite frankly, I'm like, I would love to have somebody who walks in every Sunday and knows I'm the best football player on the field.
I'd be excited.
Like, I love that. And even if it's not true, you believe it. And if you believe it and your team believes it, they will make it happen. And I honestly I love the idea of having Shedeur in New Orleans at 9. But I also I'm not going to sit here and say it has to be Shedeur. If it's Jaxson Dart, I'm A-okay with that. If it's Jalen Milroe, I'll take a little bit more convincing, but I'll be fine with that. The big thing that has to be answered is, who is Kellen Moore's guy? Because if it's not a guy in this draft, then maybe it's a guy in next year's draft, or maybe it's a guy in the following year's draft, or maybe in the following year's draft. But I want to see Kellen Moore get his guy, and I want to see him get to work with his guy sooner rather than later. Brian, also don't force the pick. If you don't love it, don't force the pick. Just for the sake of taking a quarterback. Hot take: Jalen Milroe will be the Saints' version of Lamar Jackson. What that Lopez? That is a hot take. He said that is a hot take. I think it's very unfair to set an expectation of you will be a multi-MVP winner for a guy who didn't win the Heisman and a guy I don't really think is the greatest quarterback in the whole wide world. He misses the layups too often. He has a nice deep ball. He has nice athleticism. And these are all things that you can coach and improve and make better. But that's a little rich. Saying he's Lamar's a little rich. But it's a hot take for a reason. For Brian, what it's worth, it's a hot take for a reason.
I think one of the big differences is they both stayed that extra year. They could have came out junior year. When Lamar stayed, he focused a lot more on that passing game, and I really don't feel like we saw that with Jalen Milroe. We saw Lamar develop a little bit more as a passer. Yeah. Obviously, there were still questions coming into the draft, but not near as many questions as Jalen Milroe. Right now.
I would totally agree with you on that, Lopez. Again, I don't think Milroe's a bad football player. I'm very intrigued by the athlete, and I think that if you do need to move him from the quarterback position, that's something you definitely could do. And quite frankly, Kellen Moore is a coach who's known for appealing to the strength of his roster, so maybe that's what Kellen Moore could do with Jalen Milroe. I think, again, it doesn't matter who it is. I just want to see him get his guy. I want Shedeur Sanders no matter what. Sonny Weaver style, Shedeur Sanders with the question. I am going to say I do love Shedeur, but it's not no matter what for me. It is not no matter what. For me, it's more so I like Shedeur. I would be happy with Shedeur, but it doesn't have to be Shedeur, if that makes sense. I'm A-okay with Jaxson Dart. I'm A-okay with Jalen Milroe. I can be convinced that Will Howard will work, but I am not no matter what on Shedeur Sanders. If you had to pick one between Jaxson Dart or Shedeur, dude, that's a tough one. I don't even know if I can pick one. So I'm going to have to make the viewers pick one for us, Lopez. I can't pick one. So you got some context? Okay, Lopez does have context he'll add here in a second. He's going to have some context to add in a moment. Just bear with us. But for Shedeur Sanders, just type SS. For Jaxson Dart, type JD. And, side by side, pretty impressive for both guys. I'd say Jaxson Dart's a better quarterback with his legs. I'd say Shedeur Sanders is a more accurate passer, but I think both of these are solid options for the New Orleans Saints, and we'll have to see inevitably what does happen. So I'm going to disagree with you, Sonny Weaver. It's not no matter what for me. It's I would like it, but it doesn't have to be no matter what. But I really do appreciate you asking, and shout out to Lopez for adding some context to this discussion. DJ Mutt King, one of our real ones here at the show. With Kellen Moore feeling best player available, does that mean it could be tackle or edge as well at 9? Yes, I do think it could be tackle or edge. However, I think that if it comes down to Will Campbell or Tyler Warren, which is a very real possibility, maybe not a very real possibility. I could see Will Campbell getting picked a little bit sooner. Who knows? My long story short, I think that the Saints would rather go with a weapon and add it because hear me out. We need to raise the overall talent level of the offense. Like, sure, the ceiling is kind of up here, and it's not a very low ceiling, but we got to raise the floor too. And adding a player like Tyler Warren or Ted McMillan does do that. Now, adding a tackle or an edge also raises the overall talent level of the roster. And I think that these are important things to do as well. So I do think that best player available is truly who's the best player available. Who is the best guy who's going to make the biggest impact at the most immediate time frame? And I think that's the question that needs to be answered, and who's going to be available and how the board falls. Mere comment, do you think linebacker is an underrated? Yes. Underrated selection for this draft. I do think the Saints needed to add a linebacker. Demario Davis is not getting any younger. I like Pete Werner, but we definitely need to see more from him. And in case you forgot, Jalen Ford, he got hurt late in the season last year, I believe against the Raiders, if I remember correctly. You have a need a linebacker. It's an underrated need, but it's a need nonetheless. So I definitely think going and getting one of those edge rusher, linebacker hybrid guys would make some sense, like a Jalen Walker out of Georgia. I would love that selection. Somebody to really feast in Kellen Moore, in Brandon Staley's new defensive system would make a lot of sense. All righty, let's see this one. Cougar Destroyer. Chomp chomp. Shout out to all of you who picked Florida like me to win the Natty. Got second place in my bracket. Gotta love that. Draft Jalen Milroe to be the Taysom Hill replacement. We're not going to talk about drafting Jalen Milroe to be a quarterback in this because you said as a Taysom Hill replacement. I want to do one thing first. You cannot replace Taysom Hill. He is a one-of-one player. He is a special player. He is the best overall football player across the league. He is a player who deserves to be in Canton, Ohio when his career is all said and done. Now let's talk about Jalen Milroe, because I do think that having him be a Swiss Army knife type player, a guy who just is a athletic offensive weapon, is a strategy to look at and something to consider. Maybe. I don't know if he's the same physical runner as Taysom Hill. I don't know if he has the same catching and receiving ability as Taysom Hill. I think he might be a better passer than Taysom Hill. But these are all things that we have to figure out. Like, you cannot replace Taysom Hill. He is the GOAT. He is one of one. So it's unfair to say that. But I do like the idea of bringing in Jalen Milroe to be an offensive weapon and an offensive Swiss Army knife. I think that would be an excellent decision, and I think it'd be an excellent draft pick. Now, Saints fans, if you guys haven't been able to check in to one of these mailbags, we go live every Wednesday at 4 p.m. Central Time. We also post content every single day about the draft, free agency, trades, just my general thoughts and all that good stuff. So, subscribe today. Saints Down by Chat Sports. Free content by fans, for fans. Y'all stay golden, and we'll see you next time. All righty. We're going to sign off here in just a moment. Draft one. Shedeur Sanders or Jaxson Dart. Who's it going to be? Who's it going to be?
Let's get some super chats going real quick, maybe.
Yeah, we'll see if we can get a super chat to keep us live.
That'd be nice. But don't go too long. Lakers game starts in an hour. Lakers game starts in an hour. Tell them not to go too long.
Lakers game starts in an hour. Who do they got tonight? Oh,
Mavericks.
It's the fucking Mavs game. Duh. I forgot about that. 208 says not as strong. 208 says Taysom is the GOAT. Milroe from Who Dat Daddy. Sidney Jackson says Shedeur. Jaden says no questions this week, but many next week. Alrighty, Jaden. We look forward to it.
And I was surprised.
Milroe is a Who Dat Daddy. Jalen Milroe is a gadget player. We already have one. No. That's true, but Taysom Hill's not getting any younger. And I also will say this. I don't think you need to draft gadget players. Like, that's kind of luxury picks there. But, again, I don't hate the pick. I would rather go somewhere else. Shedeur Sanders from Kyron. Bruce says Jaxson Dart. 208 says I went Ashton Jeanty. Cartel says Shedeur. Saints Pels Chop It Up podcast says damn the Lakers. Queen Courtney, Jaxson Dart. All righty, Saints fans. We are going to hop on out of here. I appreciate you guys hanging out with us. I appreciate you rocking and rolling with us. A lot of great content, a lot of fun stuff, and we are going to be posting it all here on the channel very shortly. For me, for my guy, Nick Lopez, we worked through some technical difficulties. It was a hard, rough start to the show, but, hey, I'd say we kicked ass on the way out, right? Feels like it was a good day for another great day of Saints content. Thank y'all so much for tuning in. Y'all stay golden, and we'll see you next time.